Welcome into another edition of the Railsplitter Athletics Report. Again, I'm your host this week. My name is Adam Haley. We got a jam-packed week, a jam-packed show going on here tonight for the Railsplitter Athletics Report. We got to talk LMU volleyball. We got to talk LMU soccer, cross country. They were both already starting the fall season. The men's golf team and the women's golf team had excellent showings this past week, and we're going to talk to them a little bit in the future weeks about their time. Men's bowling. That was one of the brand new sports here for Lincoln Memorial University. They're going to be starting their fall season. We're going to talk about that also at the end of the show tonight, and we'll try to get an interview with the head coach there in the upcoming weeks. We're going to start off a little bit different here this evening. If you've been with the Athletics Report for most of the time it's been on the air in the past seasons, you know we like to talk to a lot of the coaches about the games that are coming up or the games that have already happened. Well, something new we're trying to do this year is doing some different kind of informative pieces. I mentioned to you last week the two of the new players are going to be on the Athletic Report, one being Brandon Burke, the other one being Danny Valdez. Well, Danny Valdez's first story is coming up this week. As a matter of fact, it's coming up just next. He's going to be talking to different people around Lincoln Memorial University about a hot topic in all sports, and that's concussions. He's talked to different people, different trainers, different people up at the medical school about the different things with concussions, concussion protocol, and how to get back on the field once you've suffered your first concussion. You know, we all know, whether it be at the high school ranks, here at the NCAA ranks, or even on the pro ranks, how big of a hot topic concussions is. I mean, we've seen it in the NFL with the shots to the head. Basketball, baseball. I mean, we just saw a race car driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr., is going to miss half of a NASCAR season because of concussion-like symptoms or a concussion and going back through protocol. So Danny Valdez sat down with numerous people around the university to find out the truth about concussion protocol, and here's that piece.
I tell people that a concussion is an injury to the brain, and we think about that just as we would with any other part of the body. So your brain gets rattled around no matter how you get hit, whether that's to the body. Most people think about it being a hit to the head, but this can actually be to the body, it can be to the neck, it can be to the face. And what happens, you get this force that goes up to the brain and it rattles it around inside of your skull, makes your brain start to release chemicals that it normally doesn't. And that gives you some of the symptoms that we would call a concussion. That's what people mostly attribute a concussion to.
Way back, it's been a long time. It's probably over 20 years ago. So, the one thing that stands out to me, I'll never forget it. It was a football player. I was at a football. I was covering high school football, and a football player was on the field in front of me, and between plays he just started throwing up, and I'm like, man, this guy's sick. We assessed him, and we realized he had symptoms of concussion. He had the mechanism, and one of the symptoms of a concussion is nauseation and sickness at your stomach. So sure enough, he had a concussion, but he was trying to play through it and didn't report it. So that's probably my first experience with a concussion.
Got one about a year and a half ago, taking water out to the field while I was a graduate assistant, and we flipped the gator trying to drive up a hill, and I hit my head on the ground real hard, and I didn't black out this time, but it was probably the worst of it. I just hit it real hard on the side, and I had immediate vomit, like I got nauseous, and then dizzy. I mean, I couldn't function. I was just off. Like, we were trying to go out to practice, and I was just like, I can't pay attention to anybody. I was a graduate assistant, so we were taking classes still, and I couldn't focus on any of my work. The headaches lasted for about 4 days. Real bad sensitivity to light. Like, my office was always too bright. Couldn't look at the computer screen. I was off. Like, I couldn't do my job right. People would ask me questions, and I'd just sit there and think about answers that I knew 100% like any other day, and I just could not function normally. So I actually had to contact my professors, my boss, and say, man, I'm struggling. Kind of get like extensions on my assignments and stuff like that. And my boss was there to help me like throughout all my treatments or rehabs, taking care of athletes when I clearly shouldn't have been, and just off my game, really slow concentration. But that was definitely the worst of them, and that one probably took about a week and a half before I was feeling comfortable to do my job again.
So we were playing in a scrimmage on a Tuesday night at Union College, Union University, I don't really know. And I went to block and one of my arms didn't go up. It was kind of like this, but wider, and so I blocked with my face. And we lost the point. My head was fine, just my nose was throbbing the whole time. Like I thought it was gonna bleed, but it never did. So that's good. Way home, I told Corey my head was starting to hurt a little bit, and she told me to let her know in the morning if it hurt any worse. And it was just kind of consistent. Like I rated it a 0.5. Like I was like, it's just not going away. And 2 days later, I was like, Corey, I feel like I have a migraine. And so she automatically made me do the concussion test, and I saw Dr. Perry and all that.
In terms of what we do, we take them through a sport concussion assessment test. They're on the sideline, and we gather all the symptoms. And first, we ask them, how they're feeling now. Dizzy and does your stomach hurt? All these questions, and then we cognitive. Their awareness. We'll ask them questions. Let them reason with us. If they can answer some simple questions, their whereabouts and things. We'll check their memory and recall. And then we look at performance, function. It could be balance. We'll take them through a couple exercises there, and then, some sport-specific activities. But, as far as going back to the symptoms, if they have one or more symptom along with some of this cognitive things going on, we're going to obviously pull them for the sport, and they're no longer going to play that day or not.
We use the symptom sheet that we get on our SCAT, and actually we can track the symptoms of concussion until they're gone. And that's really what we look forward to, at least getting them back to where they were before they had a concussion. So we have them go see their athletic trainer on the daily basis where they rate those symptoms. And we have a form that is standardized, and we have them rate their symptoms on a scale of 1 to 6, 6 being the worst, 0 being the best. And we wait for them to have no symptoms. Once they have no symptoms, then we're able to start them into our return to play. And that return to play protocol is a stepwise progression, and it has 5 steps. The first step is obviously to have no participation, no activity. The next step, we slowly start to incorporate activity, slowly start to increase the blood flow to the brain. So the first step is to get them on the treadmill, get them out on the field, have them run. Have them get on the treadmill and run, try to do some activity to get their heart rate up. If that goes without any symptoms and they have no complaints, we start to move on to sport-specific activity. That could be throwing and catching a baseball, that can be doing kicks for soccer, dribbling drills for soccer, that can be dribbling drills for basketball, shooting drills for lacrosse. If those things go well without any symptoms, then we progress on to non-contact practice. And this is kind of where we get an idea of how well they're being coordinated, how their speed is catching up in the practice setting. So they're sort of getting back to their full speed. If that goes well without any symptoms, then we progress on to full contact practice. At that point, the coach can kind of get a way to assess whether their foot speed is up, whether their coordination is back with their teammates. In addition to us, we can kind of see if they're still ready to really jump into the game. And if they pass that, the next day, they're cleared to go.
Just overall, the biggest thing with concussion is education on the front end and knowing when to, and how to report those.
Again, thanks to Danny Valdez for the piece on concussion protocol. Him and Brandon Burke again will be joining us throughout the season for different stories around LMU athletics. We're going to take our first commercial break here. When we come back, we're going to get into Coach Talk. We're going to talk to Coach L and Coach Michael when we return with more Railsplitter Athletics Report.
Pinnacle Performance Physical Therapy wants you to know you have a choice where to receive physical and occupational therapy. We take an individualized approach to treating people of all ages. Our therapist's goal is to assist all patients by reaching their pinnacle performance in school, work, and play. We have state-of-the-art equipment such as our Alter-G anti-gravity treadmill, used to rehabilitate injuries and pain throughout the body's lower extremities. Contact us for an appointment at 423-869-9923. Pinnacle Performance Physical Therapy, 362 Catalpa Avenue, Harrogate.
Whether institutional case good or architectural woodwork, Nolan Products Incorporated of Knoxville has been serving East Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, and Southeast Kentucky since 1958. From concept to finish, Nolan Products custom builds to the highest quality standards to meet your facility specifications while using only the finest materials available. Nolan Products has been serving and meeting the needs and requirements of general contractors and architects in East Tennessee and surrounding area for more than 55 years. Nolan Products Incorporated, 912 4th Side Street, Northeast, Knoxville.
Are you looking for efficient, compassionate, and comprehensive health care for you and your family? If you are, visit Lincoln Memorial University Medical Clinics in Harrogate and New Tazewell. All healthcare providers are faculty members of LMU's DeVos College of Osteopathic Medicine and are board certified in their specialty. Multiple specialties available are family medicine, pediatrics, internal medicine, OBGYN, geriatrics, and osteopathic manipulative medicine. Locations at Harrogate and New Tazewell. Most insurance plans are accepted. The University Medical Clinic is here to serve you. Call 423-869-7190 for an appointment.
It's the Old Town Grill.
The Old Town Grill is a special place where you bring more than family, more than friends. Bring a hearty appetite, because at the Old Town Grill, you'll never walk away hungry. A delicious change from the ordinary. The perfect place to bring the entire family. The best food and plenty of it. Join the fun and treat your appetite to something special.
It's the OTG.
The OTG is the place to be.
Welcome back into the Railsplitter Athletics Report. Now joined alongside by the head coach of the men's and women's soccer team, Coach L. Coach, first off, welcome to Railsplitter Athletics Report for the new year. Let's talk about this past week. We'll start with the women's side. They only had one game. That was this past Saturday. It was their home opener. They took on Lee University, and unfortunately for the women, they fall 4-0.
Yeah, we spoke before about this calculated risk of opening with such great schedule, and top 25 teams, and you better be good the whole game, and we were good at times, and we actually made it into a game for a long period of time. But when you play that kind of team, one little mistake and they'll punish you.
Now, with the women, again, it was only the one game, and really don't want to spend a lot of time on that 4-0 loss. But you go forward. You've got Brevard coming up this week. We've got Brevard in Queens, as a matter of fact. Brevard will actually have already happened by the time this is aired. So you start conference play. The women's team right now, I think, still winless. They're at 0-3. What's got to happen for the women's team to turn around and get that first conference victory?
Well, that's the biggest thing. Having played these tough teams, we know already the things that they got to do better. And obviously, I'm not going to broadcast to the world, but in general terms, you got to cut down turnovers and finish chances that you create. But we are coming from an incredible tough schedule, crossing with a team with momentum because they have won a lot of games. But they've played a lesser schedule, so let's see which approach pays off.
Let's switch to the men's side. They've had two big victories in the past week. You defeated Southern Wesleyan last Wednesday here at home. Then you go to Young Harris over the weekend, and you defeat a nationally ranked team. Yeah,
these were two critical games. Southern Wesleyan is going to make a splash throughout the year. They're a good team. And they historically have done extremely well outside of D2, but they will do well in D2. Young Harris, number 9 in the nation, at their place, and that was a critical game for them, and they threw the sinking, whatever you call it, kitchen and sink at us, and incredible atmosphere, lots of people, super hot on a turf field, and our boys delivered big time. 2 regional victories. But it's kind of contrast to 2 different teams, like you mentioned. Southern Wesleyan, it's their first year of being a full-fledged NCAA Division II member, and then you had Young Harris on the road, a nationally ranked team. Yeah, and almost opposite styles, although they're both great teams, but Southern Wesleyan was a possessing team that started with the ball in the middle and dishing it wide, and Young Harris was the opposite. They channeled the game mostly and started wide and brought to the middle, so it was kind of interesting how it worked out, but either way, our boys had to show up. both games we had to come from behind, which I don't like that. I mean, it shows to us that it's there when we need, but you don't want to keep making that a habit.
2 big victories in region before you go into conference, and once again the Brevard game will have already happened by the time this hits the air. But talk about how that builds momentum for this team. You've talked all preseason about how this could be a special team this year. Now they've got a lot of regional momentum going into the conference schedule.
Yeah, and they better treat Brevard as they should, as a hard game, because Brevard is a team that historically has given us a hard time, and they have had wins and played everybody tough. They showed to me that they can score goals this year, so we need to treat that game as if it was a number 9 team in the nation, which Young Harris was.
Brevard and Queens, not necessarily the 2 of the teams necessarily at the top of the schedule that was preseasonally ranked. That'd be Wingate and Carson Newman, but obviously you want to win your games at home and still them on the road.
Yeah, but Queens, they showed to me this year they mean business. They've scored a lot of goals, played already at a national ranked team, and gave him Limestone and gave him all they could handle at Limestone. Barely lost. So Queens at home, turf fields, difficult environments. This is a hard week for the boys.
You talked about the turf. You saw it at Young Harris, and you're going to see it at Queens. Do you see is this team this year better, or is it just different being on the turf as opposed to the grass we have at home?
I don't know if necessarily the word better is there, but more accustomed, because conference is at turf, several teams in the conference, and you seem to come across that more often than not these days. But when you get new turf, such as Queens will be, it's a lot closer to grass than otherwise, so I'm okay with it. The problem is when you hit those teams that the turf is worn out.
Okay. Well, Coach, good luck the rest of the week, and we'll talk to you a little bit later.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back with more Railsplitter Athletic Support right after this.
Make K&K Metal Sales your only stop for all your residential and commercial metal building needs. For the past 23 years, K&K Metal Sales has covered the tri-state area with quality custom roofing and siding with many grades, gauges, and colors in stock. If you're looking for complete steel or wood building packages or steel or wood trusses, K&K Metal Sales can help with that, as well as heavy-duty custom carports. Great folks and great prices. Stop by K&K Metal Sales located at 6986 Cumberland Gap Parkway or call 423-869-4261.
If you enjoy lakes, boating, mountains, and great food, you'll love Norris Landing Marina in Claiborne County, Tennessee. Located off Lone Mountain Road, Norris Landing Marina has these benefits for you. A 170-slip marina with seasonal rental slips, rental pontoon and pleasure boats, vacation cabins and cottages, a 23-space RV park, and Jimmy's Place Restaurant. Great food and casual dining in an on-the-water setting. Contact us and make the Norris Landing Marina your enjoyment destination.
Juggling my family schedule is a full-time job. Between school, dance practice, work, there's little time left to worry about much else. That's why I use real-time banking from Home Federal Bank. With real-time banking, I know that when I make a deposit, the money goes straight to my account. No delays, no waiting, no wondering. And I get to focus on what's important.
Real-time deposits, real-time access, real-time banking from Home Federal Bank. Always within reach.
Welcome back into another Railsplitter Athletic Support. We're now joined alongside by women's volleyball coach Jenny Michael. And Coach, it's been an interesting, I don't want to say week, but 8 days. Because you played Tusculum on 2 Wednesdays ago here at home, and then obviously Tuesday night you defeated Carson Newman on the road. But we're going to talk about the Tusculum match first. It was a home opener. It was a conference opener. Your team started out very hot, took the first 2 sets. Tusculum comes back like we thought they would, took the second 2, but you eventually pull it off 3-2.
Yeah, it was, first off, a great environment here in our home gym in Mars. Our fans were awesome, the Mars Maniacs, if you will.
Is that what we're going to call them?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, Scott and I, we've talked about it a little bit. I think it might stay, but they were crazy. They were loud, they stayed engaged, and it would have been very easy for them as fans to be like, oh, okay, our team's got this, and start dwindling out. But they stayed through to see us, to victory, and it took 5, but that was, the most important thing is just trying to get that first conference win.
You talked about the atmosphere here at Mary Mars. We've been covering volleyball games for numerous years now. I have never, in my knowledge, heard it so loud than what it was that Wednesday.
Wasn't it awesome?
The student section, the band. I mean, there were times when me and Mike were calling the game, I couldn't hear myself.
Yeah, no, that's what some people were telling Scott even too. You know, like they couldn't really hear him announcing because the crowd, the volume in the gym was just so awesome. And you know, it's one thing. You know, this area, the region doesn't have a lot of volleyball, so for us to be able to get that kind of crowd. You know, and it wasn't, I mean, the majority of it was our student athletes. We had a great representation from the guys and gals, but, you know, also have our faculty and staff out there supporting, some community members as well. I mean, just all combined, all total, it was an awesome experience.
You get that one. You had 6 days really to rest and recoup because you went, I think you played 5 games in that first little week or whatever there leading to the Tusculum game. You get 6 days. You get one rival down at home. You go to your other rival, Carson Newman, on the road on Tuesday. Again, it takes 5 sets, but you pull it off.
You know, we've got several old ladies on the team. We joke around, so we did have a chance to utilize that little bit of break in between, gave them some rest, and then got back into it in the gym, got after it. And, you know, man, the first set against Carson Newman, we just came out like gangbusters, you know. I mean, it was great. But, and again, we were kind of talking before the air, you know, that the crowd wasn't engaged. Well, then we go out in the second set. You know, they changed their strategy up a little bit, which was very smart on their coach. We had some people kind of take a step back instead of stepping up and just teetered around. And what, you know, next thing you know, I mean, they come out and they win that second set. So now all of a sudden, the crowd's engaged. You know, when maybe after that first set, they're kind of looking at their phones like, oh, okay, let me make plans for dinner. It's going to be kind of soon, you know, whatever. Now their team's 1-1. Their teams bounce back. We're split 1-1. And at that point, it's anybody's match. And as soon as they won that second set, you know, we just kind of knew internally, like, all right, this is going 5. Like, this is going to be a battle. And we're very fortunate, especially after going down, you know, 1-2, to be able to respond in our opponent's gym and have an opportunity to come back and be even in a 5th set, let alone be able to pull that one out and sneak out with a win out of the Carson Newman place.
We've talked, me and Mike talked when they had the Tusculum broadcast, you're supposed to win them at home, steal them on the road. And so far you've done that, 2-0 in conference. That has to be great for momentum going forward into this weekend.
I mean, we were straight. You guys remember, like, the Hamburglar?
Yes.
You know, I mean, we were straight Hamburglar, like, mask. Like, we stole that one and ran out of there, and we're not sorry about it. So, I mean, that's a very accurate, you know, way to put it. And you got to win at home, and you got to do the best that you can to split or to steal some on the road. And so, you know, I was trying to think about this today, actually. I can't remember the last time that we won at Carson Newman. I know we've been in some 5th battles, but I think, you know, last year we lost there in 5. A year or two before that, we lost in 5. I can't really remember the last time we won at Carson Newman. So it was definitely a big deal, a big win for us. Even though it wasn't pretty at times, you know, we'll take a win anyway, any day against Carson Newman.
A win is a win.
Yes.
Now let's talk about the weekend coming up. I know you're at Anderson, and there's another team. I think
Newberry
on Friday.
and Anderson. It's going to be hostile for sure. You know, if we thought last night was rowdy, it's going to be even more amplified on Friday night. Newberry does a great job. They got a great draw on Friday evenings. It's going to be a really tough weekend for us. You know, Newberry, we split with them last year, and they know that for whatever reason they kind of got our numbers. So we're going to be looking to try to fix some things on our end and hopefully be able to go down there and compete and see what we can come away with on the road again. All
right, Coach. Well, good luck. Again, we will not get to see you at home until September the 20th when you take on, I believe it's Mars Hill that night.
Right,
It'll be Neon Night, so come on out to
Mary Mars. Oh, is that what it is? I was wondering what the theme was.
That'll be.
Do we have glow sticks?
I don't know.
Do we have glow sticks?
That's a question for Scott Erlin.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that as well as some other things coming up as we return here with more Railsplitter Athletic Support right after this.
Who's next?
Me.
Wait.
This week at Food City, get fresh ground chuck, $2.99 a pound. Red or golden delicious apples, $2.99 a bag. Kraft mayonnaise, $1.99, and more.
Value every day. Food City.
Established in 1982, Dixie Roofing Incorporated of La Follette has been the industry's leader in commercial roofing throughout Knoxville, Tennessee, and surrounding counties for more than 30 years. From medical facilities to office buildings and educational institutions, Dixie Roofing has the experience, expertise, equipment, and know-how to handle roofing needs of any commercial structure, big or small. Dixie Roofing is also on the web at www.dixieroofing.com. Dixie Roofing Incorporated.
Welcome back into Railsplitters Athletics Report. We're going to finish off tonight's show by letting you know what's coming up in the upcoming weeks. Women's volleyball, as we've already mentioned with Coach Michael, they're at Newberry Friday night. They're at Anderson on Saturday. The women's soccer team and men's soccer team on Saturday will both be in the Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina to take on the Royals of Queens University. The men's bowling team, we told you to start off when we started off the show, they have an event. It's the Railsplitter Kickoff, and it's actually in Harrogate, Tennessee at Hillcrest Lanes. It's on Saturday and Sunday. I don't know, I imagine it is open to the public. You can go on by Hillcrest Lanes and see what LMU bowling is all about. And the women's tennis team, their fall schedule, they'll be up in Johnson City at the ETSU Fall Invitational, the fall tournament, and that'll be going on also this weekend. To keep up with everything going on LMU athletics, pull up the website. It's LMURailsplitters.com. There is, for all the athletic events, there's live stats, live video if the visiting teams are providing those, and they'll have those on the schedule pages as well as the main page. You can also keep up with the Splitters Sports Podcast as well as other things that's going on around LMURailsplitters.com. That's this week's Railsplitter Athletics Report. I'm Adam Haley. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.